Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right, we're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go! I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
Hey friends, this is part 2 of the Uh-ohs and the Oh-nos. If you haven't listened to part 1, go head over there, listen to that one, and then come back for this episode. The two tiny fairies watched as Levi and Ivy bickered back and forth. Yep, said Oh-no with a big sigh. I think we'll need to work together on this one. But if we do, I just know we can help them work out their problems for sure. Uh-oh took a deep breath as Levi and Ivy kept arguing. Then Oh-no brushed some little bits of leaf off her wings and they were ready to get to work. How about we just chill out for a bit? Suggesting Uh-oh. Yeah, we can go and test out Ivy's new boat, said Oh-no. Ivy wanted to do anything but talk to Levi, so she agreed and Levi reluctantly followed behind her as they walked to the stream. Uh-oh and Oh-no flew along close by, hoping things would get better. Once at the stream, Ivy bent down to test the flow of the water. Feels perfect, she said. Not too cold, not too warm. Not moving too fast or too slow. She then went to get her boat, which she had left lying up against a rock by the edge of the stream, when Levi called her over to see the fairies. But before she got to the boat, she heard a loud crunch. Levi! Ivy screamed. What did you just do? Ivy was looking down at her boat in pieces, which were laying in front of Levi on the ground. I just made that and you crushed it with your big clumsy feet, she shouted, looking ready to cry. Seeing their opportunity to help and teach Levi and Ivy a lesson, Uh-oh jumped into action. She flew right over to Levi and landed on his shoulder. Levi, just think before you respond. Think of the consequences and the reaction Ivy will have when you say what you're about to say. I know you can do the right thing. Well, Uh-oh would soon find out that Levi didn't know the right thing to say or do in this particular situation. Clumsy feet? I have clumsy feet? I didn't even see it. You picked the absolute worst place ever to leave your boat. It's not my fault it got broken, shouted Levi. Who leaves their new wooden boat that they just built on the ground and thinks it won't get stepped on? Oh, wait, I know. The same person that leaves a painting on a chair and thinks no one will sit on it. Levi, are you serious? Do you know how hard I worked on that boat? Ivy shouted back. Well, I bet it would have gotten broken at some point, said Levi, just like my roller skates. Isn't that what you said? They would have gotten scuffed up at some point. Ivy didn't know what to say, so instead she sat down at the edge of the stream and pouted. Tears welled up in her eyes and she didn't even want to look at Levi, let alone talk to him. Uh-oh, seeing the wrong decision Levi had made and the way it was making Ivy feel, jumped back into action. Levi, please tell me you know what you said was not the right thing, asked Uh-oh. What you should have done was acknowledge your mistakes, because even though you didn't mean to break Ivy's boat, you still did. And think of how Ivy feels now. Probably just like you did when you saw your scuffed up roller skates. Levi understood what Uh-oh was saying, but it was easier to be defensive than take the blame. And it was easier to shout at Ivy and blame her for leaving the boat on the ground. And that was because he was embarrassed about what he had done and wanted the attention to be on Ivy instead of him. Hey friends, can you ever relate to that? Have you ever been more embarrassed by a situation, but you kind of lashed out instead? I definitely have. So if you have, you are definitely in good company. Let's see how they learn from this. And as if a light switch was flipped on, Levi finally got it. He instantly remembered the way he felt seeing his new roller skates all scuffed up. He hadn't even worn them yet, and he felt like they were ruined. That was how Ivy was feeling about her boat. She hadn't even put it in the water yet, and it was already broken. I get it, said Levi to Uh-oh. I really do get it now. I just need to be more aware of how other people feel when I make a mistake that affects something that's really special to them. Like Ivy's painting, and now her boat. I should apologize to her, right?
You got it, Levi.
And yes, you should definitely apologize and take ownership for what you did, said Uh-oh. Levi walked over to Ivy and sat down next to her. She turned her head so she didn't have to look at him and hoped that by doing this, he would get the message and just go away. I know you may not have anything to say to me, Ivy, but I have something to say to you, Levi began. I'm really sorry that I broke your boat and ruined your painting. I know you worked hard on them both, and it doesn't matter where you left them. I was the one who made the mistake. And even though it was by accident, I shouldn't have blamed you. They were mistakes, my mistakes. And I know that now. I'm sorry, and I hope you can forgive me. Levi sat there hoping that Ivy would say something, or at least look at him. After just a few seconds, Ivy turned slowly to Levi and gave her big brother a hug. She did so with tears in her eyes because she was so impressed with what he had just said. Thank you for saying that, Levi. It really means a lot to me, said Ivy. I knew they were accidents, but you just saying that makes me know that you understand how I feel, and that means a lot. Do you think I can help you rebuild your boat? Asked Levi. That would be great, said Ivy, wiping away her tears. Uh-oh flew over to Oh-no and gave her the tiniest high five ever. Nice job, buddy, said Oh-no to Uh-oh. I wonder if another situation will pop up where I can help Ivy. Well, Oh-no wouldn't have to wait very long. Ivy thought it would be fun if she and Levi did something together since they were starting to get along. She suggested that he show Uh-oh and Oh-no some of his amazing artwork. Levi ran to get a sketchbook, and when he got back, things took a turn. And not for the best. Levi, show our new fairy friends the picture you drew of the flowers I planted in our garden, said Ivy, so proud of her brother's drawing skills. Sure, but first I want to show them the picture I drew of that little bunny that was in the backyard last week. It's the best picture I ever drew, replied Levi, flipping through the pages of his sketchbook. But as he was looking through them, he realized something. Levi stopped flipping through pages for a second and tried to find his special drawing pen. He was excited to draw a picture of the Uh-oh and the Oh-no after he shared some of his drawings with them. But as he was searching for his pen, he realized it must have fallen out of his pocket by the stream. I'll be right back, called Levi as he ran to the stream to grab his pen. Ivy really wanted to show the fairies Levi's drawings of the flowers she planted in the garden and thought while he was gone would be the perfect time. So she picked up her brother's sketchbook and started to turn the pages very quickly. That's not it. That's not it, she said as she went past drawings after drawing. Not that one either. Then she got to Levi's favorite drawing of the little bunny and heard him running back from the stream. I found my pen, he called out excitedly. Ivy didn't want Levi to see her with the sketchbook, so she went close to the cover, but she was moving so fast that she accidentally ripped his bunny picture in half. Ivy was so surprised at what she had done that she threw the sketchbook back down where Levi had left it and sat there very quietly. Maybe he won't notice, she thought to herself. But that was not the case. Levi immediately picked up the sketchbook and flipped through until he reached the bunny drawing. Well, at least half of the bunny drawing. The other half floated to the ground as he watched it with wide eyes. This is not good, whispered Oh-no to Uh-oh. Just give him a second. I think they'll be able to work it out, said Uh-oh. But if they can't, you're right here to help. And a good thing that tiny fairy was right there, because once Levi took a second to process what was going on, he turned right to Ivy. Did you do this, Ivy? He asked, sounding more than a little upset. What are you talking about? She said, trying to sound like this was the first time she had seen the torn drawing. I think you must have turned the pages too fast and ripped it. Yeah, that's it. Sorry that happened. Sorry you ruined your favorite drawing. Or maybe a squirrel did it. I guess we'll never know. I definitely didn't rip the drawing, Ivy. It was ripped already, said Levi as he turned to the Uh-oh and the Oh-no. Did you see what happened? The Uh-oh knew then it was her time to shine. She had to help Ivy the way Uh-oh helped Levi. Yes, Levi, I saw how your drawing got ripped, began Oh-no. And I think the person responsible should say something. She said person, Ivy, not fairy or squirrel or any other woodland creature, said Levi, staring at his sister, waiting for her to do the right thing. But Ivy felt the same way he had felt when he broke her boat. Ivy was sad and embarrassed and didn't want any of this negative attention on her, so she tried to hide her mistake like she did with Levi's roller skate. Ivy, come with me for a minute, Oh-no said, motioning Ivy to follow her away from Levi. Once they were separated from the group, Oh-no tried to teach Ivy a lesson about being honest when you make a mistake. Ivy, what happened with Levi's drawing was an accident. But if you don't tell him the truth, the mistakes gets bigger and bigger and bigger, said Oh-no. And the feeling you have now, that just grows and grows. I don't like the sound of that, said Ivy as she stared at the ground. And I don't want Levi to feel bad either. That feeling right there, that's the first step in the right direction, said Oh-no. Honesty is a valuable thing, and once you lose someone's trust, it can be hard to get it back. Never let the guilt you feel about doing something by mistake cause you to make the wrong decision. What do you say we go back there and you tell Levi the truth? Then you can start your journey back to being the best brother and sister duo around. That sounds great to me, answered Ivy as she started her walk back to Levi, but not before she thanked Oh-no for her advice. When Ivy finally walked up to Levi, he was sitting on a tree stump looking at his torn rabbit drawing. And just like he did with her, Ivy spoke the truth from her heart, just hoping Levi would forgive her. I know you may not have anything to say to me, Levi, but I have something to say to you, Ivy began. I'm really sorry. I ripped your bunny drawing when you went back to the stream to get your pen. I know you worked hard on it, and I know how upset you must be that it's ruined, just like your roller skates. And even though I did both things by accident, I shouldn't have lied about them. They were mistakes, my mistake, and I know that now. I'm sorry, and I hope you can forgive me. Ivy sat there hoping that Levi would say something, or at least look at her. After just a few seconds, Levi turned slowly to Ivy and gave his sister a big hug. He did so with tears in his eyes because he was so impressed with what he had just said. Thank you for saying that, Ivy. That really means a lot to me, said Levi. I know they were accidents, but you just saying that makes me know that you understand how I feel, and that means a lot. Do you think I can help you draw another bunny picture? Asked Ivy. That would be great, said Levi, wiping away his tears. Oh-no flew over to Uh-oh and gave her the tiniest high five ever. Nice job, buddy, said Uh-oh to Oh-no. I think we just got our one-way tickets to the fairy realm. Both of the tiny fairies were very happy, but also kind of sad. They really enjoyed meeting Levi and Ivy and were sad to leave them behind. But they also knew their time in Mistake Meadow was drawing to a close. They had done what they were there to do, teach Ivy and Levi to recognize their mistakes, understand consequences, and learn to make up with others. Levi and Ivy also knew it was time for Uh-oh and Oh-no to leave the woods, and it was also time for them to get back to their house for lunch. Thank you so much, said Ivy as she hugged her new fairy friends. Oh, please don't cry. You're making me cry, said Uh-oh, holding back tears. I'm already crying, sobbed Oh-no as he hugged Levi tight. It was so great to meet both of you, said Oh-no. And even though leaving the woods makes us sad because we won't be able to see you two, it makes us happy too. That's because we did what we were meant to do. Help you both be the best kids you can be. Yep, now when you make a mistake, you can deal with it right away and move on quickly, rather than making the situation worse by lying or getting angry and blaming the other person. Just promise us you'll teach the other people what we taught you today, asked Uh-oh. We definitely will, promised Levi. You can count on us, added Ivy. I knew we could, said Oh-no, as she and Uh-oh flew off toward a beautiful, bright, glowing opening in the clouds. And before Levi and Ivy knew it, their tiny fairy friends were gone. Levi and Ivy stood side by side in the woods, just taking in the moment. Then they heard their mom's voice calling them back home. They gave each other a hug and started their walk back home. Levi holding a sketchbook and Ivy holding her toy boat. As soon as they got home, their parents saw that something had changed between the two of them. So, your walk in the woods helped? Said Levi and Ivy's dad with a sparkle in his eye. It really did, said Levi. Yeah, Dad, you were right, added Ivy. Thank you so much for suggesting it. I'm just happy it all worked out. Now go wash up for lunch, said Levi and Ivy's dad as they headed to the bathroom. What do you think happened out there? Asked Levi and Ivy's mom. Like I told you, they had to work their problems on their own. And they did, said Levi and Ivy's dad. Or maybe they met some wonderful tiny fairies that helped them to learn the right way to deal with mistakes and how important it is to apologize. Ha ha, laughed Levi and Ivy's mom. What an imagination you have. As she went to wash up for lunch, Levi and Ivy walked into the kitchen looking shocked. They had heard what their dad had just said and had no idea how he knew about the tiny fairies they had met. When they asked him, he simply replied, I've lived around here my whole life, and I've walked in those woods thousands of times. One day when I was having some of the same problems with my brother that you two were having, we took a walk in the woods, met two tiny fairies from Mistake Meadow. They helped us work through our problems and taught us about consequences and apologizing and owning our own mistakes. I'll never forget them because they're still with me every day. What do you mean, Dad? Asked Levi. The two tiny fairies told us that once they helped us, they got to go to the fairy realm, a magical, mystical place just beyond the moon. Oh yeah, the fairies I met went there too, but I always feel them with me after I make a mistake and decide what I should do next, replied their dad. You see, once they left, they became the inner voice that I hear when I make a decision on how to act in a certain situation. And now you'll hear your tiny fairy friends speak to you anytime you need a little help with making the right choice after making a mistake. Just hearing that, Levi and Ivy felt great. If they couldn't see uh-oh and oh no again, at least they would always have their words of wisdom to rely on. Is everyone ready for lunch now? Said Levi and Ivy's mom as she sat down at the table with some sandwiches. We sure are, said Levi as he looked at his dad and Ivy. So what exactly happened in the woods that made you two work out your issues? Asked Levi and Ivy's mom. Dad thinks it was some tiny fairies with lots of good advice. Levi, Ivy, and their dad just laughed as they ate their sandwiches. That's what I thought, said their mom as she enjoyed her lunch too. Then in their heads, Levi and Ivy heard a tiny fairy voice say, So happy to have met you. We'll always be here when you need us.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun Lively Lewis story with you.